wait. Now you're ready? We're golden. Call the transit meeting to order for February. All are present except for, what was it, John Menz and Darren Montucky. Okay. Approval of minutes. January 11th meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any comments? Questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Public comment, we have none. I know of anyway. Items placed at the request of the chair, none. Staff reports.
All right, good morning, everybody. The agenda today: ridership, financial, grants, electric bus update, solar, staffing, and around the office. Looking at ridership, we had an increase in January, up 6%. Looking back from November and December, it was down 11% in November. So great to see that uptick. Community ridership decreased from December to January, down 4%, but the university was gone for 3 out of the 4 weeks, which that is the reason behind that. Looking at the Scout ridership, we look at this via daily rides compared to total rides in the month, just based on what we had for service days. And it was actually up 17%.
Yeah, because it don't make sense.
Yeah.
Does it?
Sorry about that, everybody. But if we look down at the service days, 13.5 service days in December at 773 per day, and January had 7 service days at 907. So that was up. We had around 1,200 riders a couple Mondays ago. We had 939 riders during the day route, and another close to 300 that evening. So that was pretty cool to see. We wanted the day route to hit 1,000, but it was close. But I don't think it's ever happened before, but it was close. Looking at annual ridership, 22 versus the previous years that we've collected data, and sitting at 114,512. Looking back at 2019, 2018, and before, it's right up in there. So that was great to see. Looking at the percent of students that rode as well, I can send data on that to anybody that's interested, but it went from 90% plus for students down into the 80s. So more community members are riding bus, and that is great to see. 2022 financials. So in the packet I sent out last Wednesday, I did not update the projected grant revenue. So all it was showing was the year-to-date actuals. So that is now updated in the slide. We equate for all of the 5311 funds that are still coming in. We received our Q1 2022 check from WisDOT in January, and that went on the outstanding accounts receivable that gets turned in every month of these next 4 and gets applied to 2022. Q2 2022, that was submitted back in July. I'll show paperwork on that. Next slide. That's 67,000 that we are getting. 66,000 in Q3, 79,000 in Q4. The total outstanding is 166,245. You add that in to all our other financials for the year, and we're sitting at a surplus of 76,000 for 2022.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
Yep.
Because, I know these, we were talking about these, these are a little bit confusing. The way that I was seeing the negatives and the positives, what I would look at if your revenue is greater than your expense, you're in a positive. Because these it's just a weird accounting way. So it makes it look like here, like you're in the negative. But the reality of it is it's compare revenue, total revenue, and it's greater than your expense. So it's a quick way to kind of double check.
Isn't it kind of always, if it's in parentheses, it's negative, that's what I will.
I know.
Um,
I don't.
School, black, red.
I know, and that's why I think it gets to be so confusing. It has to do with, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't even begin to explain it. I'm with you. I would think that it would be the other way around too. But if you question it, it's a good way to just look at the revenues and the expenses, and if the revenue is greater, you're in the good.
So that, 76,000
Go ahead.
is really good.
But
I
know I can't even begin. I don't even know that I know.
Yada had a question.
Yes, good morning. Yes, I raised my question. I wanted to kind of clarify too, based on some of the feedback I received from other standing committees, those negatives were somewhat of confusing. So on the bottom, what I did is I've actually showing them in actual numbers as revenue positive, less your expenses, to kind of show if it's a positive, then it's good. If it's a negative, then we're in the red. Up above is how they're actually pulling out of the system. So I'm limited to convert them from positive to negative. But I just wanted to kind of clarify is to kind of pay attention to the very bottom, and that 76,205 as a positive number. On the bottom there, I have an asterisk. That's, if you're looking at projections, and that's pertaining to that very bottom section, and that shows as a surplus. So maybe what I need to do, perhaps to avoid some of the confusion, is move that asterisk more towards the bottom of that section. It's a work in progress, and I'm still trying to make it less confusing.
This has been a great spreadsheet that I've finally dabbled into, compared to having all those different bullet points to the side of my projection. This on a different screen, you can add all that for example, the stuff we still see that we're going to get paid, compared to pulling that out of SAP where it doesn't count for that. So it's been great to add this to the arsenal to be able to explain things in an efficient manner.
So is that your fund balance in? Does it go into fund balance? It doesn't go into the general county fund balance, that surplus, does it, for the year projected?
That
2022?
Yes.
ours is separate.
Yes.
Okay,
Is-
gotcha.
goes into
So
a
you're more like an enterprise fund then?
Yeah, it's separate from,
Okay.
it's a little different with state funding.
I
So
suppose.
it's kind of on its own.
Thank you.
There will be, most likely some changes to the carry forward request, and I'll have more on that next meeting. And I'll go into why a little bit later in our slides here. On some of the electric cost updates. But any other questions on that? Okay. So Black Cat, this is how things look, and just showing you statistics. That is just what we had for ridership in different segments, and what we had for revenue miles, on duty hours, stuff like that. And then budget operating is what we had for all of our ridership income, and then what we had for expenses for that quarter. So for example, quarter 2 was uploaded 7/27, approved on 10/18 from WisDOT, and we still have yet to see that check. So I copied this from the slide before, just showing the dollar amount of what we should be getting for these other Q3 and Q4 based on their equation. It's just your expenses minus your fair revenue brought in minus contra expense times 50%. So that's what gives us our income every quarter.
Does it ever, you're making like money, positive, does that anyhow affect your state grants? They say, hey, you're making a lot of money, you know,
Well,
do they ever?
it helps for our local share, you know. It's been, ever since I've been here, we've gotten CARES funding, COVID funding. So it's been a little easier. For a lot, last year was 100%, you know, deficit funded. So, but the more local share that you can create, the more fair balance you can create, the more match you can get from the state.
So it's a good thing then.
It is a good thing, because a lot of times I can do as good as we can on reducing expenses, but if our fares aren't going up, or we aren't getting more ridership on the or increasing rates, that'll stay the same, and everything else will slowly start trickling out. So it's good to see that ridership balance go up. Okay, so on quarterly reporting, this WisDOT's accounting software obviously isn't close to the way that we run things. So what I did to make it streamlined is a quarterly dump. That this built out here is exactly these line items, which are labeled differently. Some go in different line items. And you want to make a quick dump to make it a streamlined, accurate process. So this went from a few hours to, if you aren't changing line items after different quarters or different years, where new GL accounts show up or go away, this is a 10-minute process instead of hours. So this has been good. It's been a little bit of a bear to build out, because every year it seems like there's been different GLs that exist and different GLs that don't exist in the budget, or that aren't in it and then get charged to. So it's been good getting this built out. For our human services quarterly reporting, this is the spreadsheet that I used to do and that John does. This just goes through the revenue, trips, free fare, miles, total miles that John puts together every month, that generates to every quarter, that now generates automatically to the ridership report that Human Services submits to WisDOT. So instead of this being, hey Austin, Nathan normally lets me know a couple weeks out from the end of the month. Well, when he asks, this is already automatically built out. So that's been great and extremely quick as well.
You usually send this to us. Yeah, I didn't get the section. If this financial.
No, I just that week out,
Okay.
I sent the first documents, and then this is just here today. But if you'd like this PowerPoint, I can send it to you as well. Okay, sounds good. So my professor at Stout always said don't use more than about 10 words on a slide. But this is the exact, I asked for an update a few weeks ago from Thomas and Phoenix Bus, because we haven't heard anything since October. So this is the exact response, summarizing it, saying Romeo Power was bought out. That's the battery manufacturer. And they canceled all supplier agreements of the buyout of Romeo Power. It hasn't just affected Phoenix Motor Cars, but OEMs like Lincoln or Lion Electric and Lightning E-Motors. So it's kind of blown up everything. There's no immediate resolution to the situation. So we have had to terminate the Altoona testing program at this time, and they're 70% done with it when this happened. They're actively looking at other suppliers, and they have another option with non-American batteries if we wanted to go that route, and it would be ready by Q3, Q4 in Altoona testing, but if not, it would be later. And I think with WisDOT, that's just how it needs to, that's part of the criteria. So I haven't had it, this came in Friday night. I haven't talked to WisDOT, but everybody was on that email. So Steve with WisDOT got this email as well. So I will follow up with him on this. But so it is not close to being delivered.
So were you saying, Austin, that WisDOT requires them to bear some name?
Yes.
And so, foreign name battery is not an option unless WisDOT would participate.
I believe so. And that might not be just a WisDOT, that might be a full FTA requirement through that grant. I'll confirm on that.
I have a question about the electric, this particular bus, the one we're waiting for.
Mhm.
And maybe I missed it someplace and should already know the answer to this, but I don't. So how much do we have invested in the process? You know, like have we put is there a down payment that had to be made? Is the whole thing paid for already? We're just waiting for it, or?
So just a purchase order for 80% and 20% were both sent out in 2021. A down payment of around 40,000, I believe, was put out in 2021. Nothing else has been paid towards it. The chargers were just paid in full.
Yeah.
In
I knew they
Q4.
were
Yep.
being installed and
Yep.
everything, and
So-
they're ready to rock there.
So that's,
I guess was worried something like this would happen, you know?
Mhm.
But maybe the
Because
only,
everything's trying to ramp things up or whatever, but
maybe the good thing is that you're locked in at a price. Cause you pay, because
Yeah.
since then,
that is a good thing. Well, they can't jack the price on us,
Mhm.
but probably, I don't know what all the contract verbiage is, but, yeah, I was just curious, you know, if that's monies that could potentially be lost, like they just say, oh, this isn't happening, you know, or where that's all at, I guess. I'm curious.
but you'd
about
think that the new company that bought them out would have to honor any contracts when they purchase it.
Yeah, but that's usually that's not always the case though, you know what I'm saying? That's why I'm asking about it, because when a new company comes in, sometimes their slate is wiped clean. That's part of the process when they negotiate buying that original company or whatever, so. I'm just curious.
yeah, I
I
can.
was hoping it wasn't fully paid
No,
for, I guess.
no, and if even so, it's 80% WisDOT for the buses,
Yeah,
20% us.
you know, I
in
know,
total
I
cost.
know it's not all our money.
Yep.
But I was just,
Ours is pretty hard to generate from ridership, so 20% for us
Yeah.
is still a lot.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
I can have more information on that.
no, I was
Well-
just curious about that.
But the one positive on the charger side is with it taking so long and the walkout from the first company, and having to source them again, as well as technology advances, we went from 25 and 50 to 30 and 60 kilowatt chargers. So that was positive.
And I guess my next naive question is, So there's a switch, if I'm reading most of what I'm reading there correctly, there's a switch over of the battery style or something, or there's potential for this battery company couldn't produce their batteries or get them here, and now it's gonna go a different direction. I assume the chargers are compatible with different kinds of batteries, or they're, I mean, you have to change the coupler on the plug, is it that simple, or, you know?
It's all good questions. How do you
Yeah.
really know?
Yeah, I don't
I'm
know.
assuming-
I'm
yeah.
not sure you even know that. I just trying to
The one
learn more here.
positive, if anything did change, our chargers have the two styles that are master.
Yeah.
CCS and Chatham. So I'm assuming that Phoenix being the kind of the general contractor on all of this would make it work.
Yeah.
But
What's the name of the company? I can't really see
Uh,
it. Nakota, acquired by,
Nikola,
have it-
Romeo Power was acquired by Nikola Motors
Okay.
in Q4 of 2022.
okay, have they been producing electric vehicles prior? Do you have any idea or, don't know?
Name
Yeah.
sounds familiar, but Nikola Tesla,
Yeah.
so it could be an offshoot.
Could be. Oh, interesting.
We can read into more of this, this next month. Have more info for you. Staffing,
The leading manufacturer of heavy duty commercial battery electric vehicles.
Yeah, I thought I'd
I
heard of
guess,
it.
I guess I have one more question before we bounce on.
Yep.
So with this news, what does that project to the fleet? Cause there's no solution there. I mean, it could be
No.
2 years from now, you know what I mean?
absolutely.
So, and again, if you don't know, you don't know. I mean, that's probably a tough question right now. You're still trying to process this news, let alone look ahead and see what this potential does to our fleet, you know, because I know we went and got that bus from down south, right, to try to plug into the fleet to help you know, keep up with the demand. And you guys have been working really hard. The demand's going up with ridership in the community and Stout, and I'm sure you're like, we need this bus, you know, to help carry the load, you know, so to speak. So kind of where does that, just off the top
Yeah,
of your head?
no.
No thought,
Nope,
really.
no, I've thought about this stuff, a good amount of time. And that's why we have not gotten rid of our two buses that people keep asking for them. But, we have 8, actually, we have 9 in the fleet with that new little one, but, those are easily past their useful life cycle, but they're still in fine shape, keep running. And just whenever the new ones came, those ones would get put on the auction. We're not in any worse place right now. They're the same size, they're actually a little bit larger. These ones are about 18 passengers. So the only thing different is, you know, non-CDL drivers can drive the new ones when they come in. But we only have one non-CDL driver and we've got a bus for them. So, everything is fine. The fleet is good. We were holding off on, you know, procuring or even putting on the capital improvement plan with buying any other buses because the fleet's new, you know, 2017 and newer, for the most part, and in great shape. But, you know, this continuing to happen every year for the past 2 or 3, pretty soon, we'll have to source out other buses if something arises where this keeps happening and our buses do start getting more worn out, but
Correct.
we're in great shape. With
Good
the
shape
fleet.
for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the life cycle of a bus?
It was 150,000 miles in 5 years. Recently, they upped it to 7 years and 200,000. So, we have two 2011s with around 160 to 180 on them. Those are the two that we're replacing. They were purchased for that, you know, back when the 150,000 miles. Regulation was in place. Next two buses are older stout buses that are 2014s that have 68,000 and 130,000. We're trying to use up the one of the 130,000 and keep the other one inside. And the rest are all 2018, 2019.
Are there any state grants for like, gasoline powered buses, or is that just a big no-no?
No, the state pays for 80% of a gas bus. WISDOT, we just have to come up with the 20% local match to get any gas bus that we see, and we just need to do it the year before. And the WISDOT site's very straightforward how to procure that. I have not been a part of one yet because so many buses were purchased right before I came here, but it's very straightforward. With the timeline delay, stuff does take a little longer than it used to, but still doable.
I think we gotta get some corn powered buses.
Yeah, I'm all for
You
that.
guys,
And biodiesel.
yeah.
Yep. Right. Staffing, currently 6 drivers. That 25 to 30 hour CDL driver, I'm posting its final edits with where we are at in the semester already here. I don't know if I want us to post it with us getting by, even with one person taking off, one person's off this whole week and we're still making it with just our operations supervisor taking a 2 to 3 shifts. Because then when that person comes back, we're doing just fine. And then pretty soon it's the end of the semester, we wouldn't have enough hours for it. So it's ready to go, but we've been a little bit on the fence about it it's already February. So, and spring break comes the second week of March. Shifts are down. So it's there if we need it. Solar update. So Olson Solar met at transit with Scott from facilities to 2 of our other county facilities. So at that same time, we talked about some of the discussion that we had in our meeting here last night. Other locations on the premise that would potentially work. On the north side of the building, there are a few shadow spots with, a few of those smaller trees that are on the north side. A few light posts, but nothing too crazy. Across the road on the south side of the building, especially if we were going to tie in with the highway department, something like that. I don't know. I assume that those big pines would have to come down if that was the case. Not positive, but it is on that side of the building. On the south side of the road, that would work pretty well with being pretty close. We just trench underneath the driveway to get to that power box. Otherwise, an L-style array to the west and the north side of the building, kind of just wrapping around the driveway that we got in back parking lot, to try to stay out of that egg land. Then I brought up the concern with the glare issue around airports, and they said that these are anti-glare panels and they've installed many close to multiple airports. It'd be interesting to see what Scott and them came up with all the other buildings, what might work best. Around the office, John donated his old TV to the conference room, currently running the Weather Channel on it, and a lot of county departments are going to test out or maybe run this new software that is centralized through the county that can run on a bunch of different TVs, and then you can actually log into your specific TV for your department and just display department notifications for that specific area. You currently run that, don't you?
You do, but a lot of times, no.
Okay. But I'm excited to see what we can, do with that, so. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Randy, were you contacted by Supervisor Von Hedlund?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, bring that up. Did you see that too?
Well, he just let me know that he contacted you, so I don't know.
Yeah,
what
I just looked at the email like about 5 minutes before the meeting. So
Okay,
something about looking at routes out to Boyceville and Knapp and Colfax and just see if there's a feasibility study, if there's any possibility of doing that sometime.
Yeah, they, brought that up in our human services meeting. That is something they used to do, and, I think it was put by the wayside because of the lack of ridership, but, a good idea was brought up at that meeting that talked about one city, 1 day, 1 week.
Yeah, that's what popped into my head right
Mhm.
away,
Mhm.
was had a 1 day route, like Wednesdays or whatever day, and you know, these were the 3 times that we're gonna pick up and deliver back or something,
Mhm.
you know, maybe something like that would work.
Yeah, 1 time a day, and the rest of the days they linked up with the city community bus. And I don't think that's too bad of an option if it works out.
I would do it as a pilot. We're
right.
gonna do
Mhm.
3 months worth
Yeah.
or 6 months worth
If you don't get the ridership or not feasible, well, then.
Yeah.
We should
And I
try.
think the hardest, in those rural communities, you still likely need some form of transportation to get to even where the bus is.
Right,
Unless the bus is just driving around picking up people with a school bus, which isn't gonna happen. So, I think it's challenging.
yeah, I don't know what they used to do years ago. If they would just go to a certain spot and pick them up, like, I don't know.
I can reach out to Ken.
Okay.
He'd love to get on the phone and talk about
Little bit.
the new county employees and stuff anyways. But he was here when that used to happen. So we could talk about what worked and what didn't. You know, they used to run a route real quick. But
Richard, do you remember you were on at that time?
What's your question?
Question is, when they used to go to Colfax, I think they went to Boyceville.
I don't know that. Don't know that for sure. I don't know if I suppose they had a certain spot they would stop at, but I don't know.
But you're right. We'll have to have a way to get there, but. Any other questions? Okay, and hearing none, we're on to 7, which, considerations for action to be taken by the committee, none. Number 8, considerations of resolutions and ordinances recommended to the county board, none. Next meeting date will be March 8th. If there's nothing else, we're adjourned. Okay, we'll call the highway committee meeting for February to order. Roll call shows that we're all here. Approval of minutes from January 11th. You want to have questions or motion to approve? Motion to approve. Second. Motion made and second. Are there any comments or questions on the minutes? January 11th. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Public comments. You got anything, Dustin? Okay,
I thought there was supposed to be a group coming today.
I hadn't heard.
Didn't you hear about that too? About the, four-wheelers and all ATVs and all the county roads, they were upset. You must have got email from,
Well, I
talked to
been in
her.
contact with
Okay,
Mr. and Mrs. Bernier.
yeah, and they said they're bringing a group down here today, but I don't see nobody.
Oh, I don't know. They didn't mention it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, anyway, I just placed at the request of the chair, none. Staff reports. Dustin, go ahead.
Well, I'll turn it over to Brent, just to kind of go through our daily operations, that we've been doing for the last month. Update on that.
Well, obviously, we know we were very busy in December and January with county snow. So that has slowed down a little bit. Last week was very, very cold. They did some brushing outside. Obviously, they did everything they could to stay warm. They did some brushing. They did a lot of cleaning inside, cleaning of vehicles, and so on and so forth. But whatever they could do, they did windrows. They pushed snow back. Last week was tough to be outside in the cold, but most of them were out for the most part. You know, when it was really bad, they were inside doing some inside work, which there's always that cleaning and stuff like that. We've been doing a lot of county brushing all over the county, old dead trees, leaning trees, anything like that. Just talk to the landowners and let them know what we're doing, so they know what we're doing. We are brushing on the state in certain areas. We're out at 25 North Menominee. We're out by the theater, by the railroad bridge. And we're going north, probably about almost to Jake's, almost to D. Then we'll be coming over to Highway 12 by Fleet Farm and doing the stretch there. We're also patching potholes, which we all know we have plenty of. And it's been nice that we have some time to do that. And there's never enough time to do that, but we're working on it. You know, we're still waiting for one of our patch buddies to get back from their step at the place that we bought them from. They're doing, I can't say, they're doing some repairs that could have been done a while back. So, cable rail hits. I know he brought that up. We have lots of cable rail hits from all the storms out on the interstate, and guardrail hits. They're working at that. It was tough to get at that. It's snowing every day, and you don't want to be out there working on that when the roads are not good. So they are working diligently at that, trying to get those all repaired. And most of those are all paid by insurance from the people that hit it. There are a few hit and runs every now and then, but those are all pretty much paid in full by that. We also fixed our big salt shed. There was 3 posts that were broke in the back, 3 or 4 were cracked and leaning back. The salt shed was pretty well empty, the big one. We had other sheds that were full, but we had time to do that, so we got that repaired. And some of the holes in the plywood over the years, I don't know how many years we've had that shed, but there were holes, so it was good time to repair that. Now we've got salt back in it. So we did that. We are mixing salt sand as of today. I do believe we could have probably gotten by with what we have. We are pretty limited at each shop, but I think being in February, it's getting warmer every day. I think we're going to be fine. But the towns were in need. Everyone's went through more salt sand this year than normal. So we are mixing probably 2 days. And we got to mix about 2,300 tons for the township that said they wanted some. And so the remaining, whatever we can mix in 2 days that we've rented that machine for, we'll just take the rest and we should be fine. As long as we don't get a bunch of ice. We're also, I know Dustin might bring this up, we are in the process of putting our chip seal and crack seal list together, the roads that we're going to do. Got it up towards around 70 miles and we got to get it down towards about 35. So figuring what roads we want to do, what's more of a priority. That is about, I mean, we are busy. The guys are busy every day. There's plenty to do. We are fully staffed on our side. So yeah, that's what I have for today. So if you guys have any questions.
One thing that I really noticed was how the snowbanks on the shoulders have really gone down the last couple of days.
I noticed that yesterday.
It makes a big difference.
Going down 94, and I told that guy, wow, snow's really went down the last couple of days.
At any point in time where we get sun right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Beautiful day today, right?
boy, it's so nice.
Yeah,
But
no
even
kidding.
on the township, like a lot of times we'll say like a 2-inch snow in February, just let the sun take care of it. You'd be surprised how fast it goes down. So I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
When you brush along, Eastman or on 25, do you have to contact the landowners there too?
We do talk to them in case, if the tree is like right close on the
Sure.
right of way, they want to know what's going on. We don't like to go into anything. We go into anything without letting them know. They're gonna hear it.
Okay.
Even if it is, we just like to let people know. We give them a notice.
What's the easement distance on
They're all
25?
different.
Oh, really?
It's all different.
Is that right? Okay.
The majority is like 66 full width, but these state roads, they can vary. Even our county roads vary.
Okay.
So you got to really take a look at that.
Tell me
See
the
where
state
you're
roads
at.
are a little more.
Most of them are.
Just like your farming, but the trees that grow on the private property, like where they go toward the sunlight, they go out in the snow. Like we had that wet, heavy snow in December. You surprised how many of our roads were
Yeah.
really over like that.
We still have trees we're cleaning up.
And there is quite a few times where we will talk to the landowner.
And most of
Can
them,
we?
We do that a lot if they're hanging on. And
I
like
had-
yesterday, I
One of my
talked to.
neighborhood, that snow came was like this and clipped the top of my pickup.
Oh, yeah.
I would drove by today and like, that branch been a long ways to get down that low.
There's a lot of people that don't want to lose their trees. I mean, there's some old trees down on 85. There's 5 of them, and 3 of them are outside the right of way that we're just gonna trim up. They're hanging out, and then there's one that's dead. They really didn't want to lose it. I said, "It's dead." I said, "You can see it's dying," and they're like, they're gonna let it take that. So yeah, we try to. If you don't, it can be pardon my language, it can be holy hell.
Well, I understand.
They always fall down on a weekend,
Always.
or it's costly to,
Yeah.
more costly to fix it.
Some of the guys like that. But honestly, I've got to say what we've done the last 3, 4, 5 years with brushing. Even our Westpac guy, he goes, wow, he goes, our roads, look, they're so wide open. He goes, I know that we spent a lot of money on it, but other counties are way behind. Like he says, he deals with Chippewa, and he goes, their roads are like this. And he goes, I'm trying to get him to brush. Brushing is dangerous. We did it. We did have a little accident a couple weeks ago. Tree snapped back, barber chaired back. Thank God everybody was all right. We did get a broken arm out of it. He is back to work. Work comp has him back to work already. He's back. He's doing fine. But it was very, 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 knocking on a very scary moment for all those guys. Because they said he did none of them would have did anything different. He had a good cut. It looked good. Boy, they were shook up. I'm not gonna lie. And it didn't look like anything bad. But he was shook up. We got things taken care of. Spent some time with him at the emergency room, and then wife came. Everything's all good. So he's back to work, and thankful he's in good shape as he is.
I guess just to reiterate on that, that's why a lot of times we try to do mechanical means of brushing, as much as possible, but there's times you can't do that. You can't take down a 30-inch tree with a mower. Right. But yeah, a lot of times you'll see where we make it look like a tornado, but that is the quickest way to do it.
If you go out there, take a look at by the theater, But 29, we did a lot of.
You
You take a look by the theater just recently, I think it looks, they did a really good job. I think they mulched it up good. I mean, some people still would not like it. I mean, there are people that still think it's ugly, but I think they did a really good job the last 2 days out there. It looked really nice. They cleaned it up decent. They opened it up. So I think the guys are, you know, it's in cold weather. It's been a long year. Our guys are actually, I think they're not. Sometimes they get really sick of the winter, but I think they, for the most part, they're all in good graces. Put it that way. I think there ain't a whole lot of griping when you call them in the morning for snow. So.
When you have, like, you know, two different crews, like one will fix the wires, you know, like a medium, and you have another one that's the same group that goes out and does the brushing then? You kind of
They can. Right now, I got pretty much a main group, about 4 guys. They're fixing on the cable rails.
Okay.
I got probably about a good 6 to 7 that I mainly send out on that, but they can also go brushing. They're pretty much most anybody can do anything. As far as running equipment, there are some people that are better running the big equipment than others, but most everybody here can go brushing. And we do a training on brushing. We've had 2 really good courses on it since the last, 5 years, 5 or 6 years. And I think that's something we should do more of too, because it is one of the most dangerous.
And I know by like Highway W there, by like Aaron Progress, they really opened that up nice, done that a couple of years ago.
You had to move a house through. They did. Yeah, that's why they did it, yeah.
And it could be, they may have. No, we have done a lot of brushing, and you can tell. And now it's not gonna cost us as much if we can just keep the maintenance up.
And a lot of people got a lot of free firewood.
Yeah.
I see a lot of places there, homes that got the logs piled there and burn firewood, so.
Yep, we talk to landowners if they want it, otherwise if they've got people down the road, that's what we try to do. We try to just say, hey, we don't bring it back here. We don't bring it back here anymore. That was in the past where you could, but we don't do it liability wise.
But I just think that like being courteous to the landowners comes back 10 times more.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just, let them know, just they appreciate it.
Yeah.
I would say on the, a little bit last month, but Justin's done a really great job this winter of a lot of social media communication with a lot of really, I think, positive feedback and just really informing the public of why things happen like they do, and we go out at this time, and we're not going to see us out at this time, and whatever. And I just think that goes so far for people understanding how we do what we do, and then he gets like 4,000 likes for the damn green lights on the.
Wow.
Could be more.
No, that has helped.
That's a kudos from the public about things, and
Yeah.
that
Yep.
goes a little way towards not being anonymous.
Speaking of your green lights, my brother-in-law traveling between here and his hometown and just mostly through our county on the way there, and he called me up the next day. He goes, "Hey, I was following one of the trucks and there's green and yellow lights on them. What's going on there?" He goes, "It was actually really nice to be able to." And I said, "Well, it's kind of the new way the counties are going, with their lighting system on their trucks." He goes, "That is kind of cool." So I thought I just kind of smiled and thought, "Oh, you guys," I was like, "Oh, the boys will be glad to hear that." I almost forgot about it until she brought it up.
Well,
Good, people are noticing it then.
Yeah.
I know he's got plenty on the agenda, but if you guys have any other questions?
Good.
Coming down on B to 40, there's a couple potholes.
Yeah.
More than a couple, but I just,
We
How
have
do you fix the ice potholes? That's, I wanna know,
the ice potholes.
where the road's packed down this much with ice
Oh.
and then
Throw more snow in.
no, that's a great way to do it. It's the
And
same
that
concept,
worked
right?
for a while.
It does.
Worked for a while, so we get days like that.
Yeah.
No, they try to go out there, and if they get to the point, we have a leaf blower or something like that they'll blow it out. Like out here by B where it's just
Yeah.
atrocious, it's terrible.
You do it that time of
You
year.
go out there, and
Yeah,
you gotta
that's
take,
right.
you gotta go out there and you gotta take, we take our torches and
oh, one of them up.
I got a lot of thanks, a lot of text messages the day we got out there with a crew. You know, you couldn't get out there. It was snowing every day. And get out there and guys that drive semi just thank you. But no, I think everyone is trying to do the best they can.
So is Highway B from Packard Drive, whoever, down to Double B, down by Potato Farmer, is that on the 5-year plan?
I'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
It was in the packet, Gary.
So I'll let Dustin go from here. I got plenty to do. I got plenty to do.
And we got plenty to do.
And
Let's do it.
And yeah, like Chris said, Dustin is, I think he's doing awesome with informing people, and I think he does good with all of us guys out here too. Not afraid to come out and talk to people, which is awesome. So, all right, thank you guys.
Thank you, Bert.
You bet.
I'll just add on to that. So obviously the shop crew, so we are bringing in a lot of our summer equipment, booms and dozers, backhoes and stuff like that to start getting that ready. We all are pretty excited about this week being sunny and warm, and we all think, well, spring's around the corner, but winter's still here. But we got to prepare for it and get ready. That kind of just concludes our highway and shop operations. Staffing, so finally had a successful position to fill the assistant highway commissioner position. So the individual that I hired is Isaac Steinmeier. So he has been a civil engineer for approximately 10 years, worked for Cedar Corps for a period of time, as well as SEH in Chippewa. So he's going to be a very good addition. I think he's going to fit in very, very well here. He's a local individual. He's been born and raised in Menominee. So
Oh, yeah, good.
currently lives out by Elk Mound area.
Good.
So I think he'll be a very good fit. So he actually starts Monday of next week. So looking forward to that to help lighten my plate a little bit.
How much interest did you have? Or other,
So we had interest internally here, but qualifications, I just we needed that.
I didn't want to know who, I was just wondering how many.
Yeah, so we ended up having 5 applicants.
Oh, you did? Okay.
That applied.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was kind of hoping for more, but it is a difficult position to fill at this time. The private sector, I guess, in this type of field is they pay more.
Sure.
And so it's tough. But yeah, like I said, he'll be a great addition.
Along those lines, because I would think it's just important to kind of keep that on the forefront. I mean, we had to do a lot of negotiating.
Correct.
To get him to come.
Oh, really?
Yep. Yeah, the days of basically starting somebody at step one, and it is a very difficult situation. So. But other than that, our staffing, like Brent said, we're at full capacity. We're doing well. This is better than other counties can say. So. Equipment and hourly rates. I just wanted to mention this. So our every year, the DOT and the Wisconsin County Highway Association, there's, elected, highway commissioners, throughout the state that are on a board for the WCHA that, go through and basically go through the equipment rates, that the DOT sets for what we can charge the DOT on our equipment. So that, was a great increase of approximately 10% for our equipment rate, due to our increased cost of our equipment and our fuel costs. It's been a long time coming. We've basically mentioned to the state for years now that the equipment is not getting cheaper to purchase. So it is tough. They kind of take an average, kind of like a 5-year average, and then kind of compile an hourly rate. So kudos to the WCHA and the Wisconsin DOT for increasing our equipment rates to help offset these costs. So that was effective January 1st. So that's very good news. With the lines of the equipment, so I did send out a RFP request for 2023 pickup truck model. The unfortunate thing is, I'll get back to this kind of in the action items, but they no longer are making 2023 work truck models. They have basically stopped production on taking any orders for that. So our only option right now for our equipment is have to look at 2024 model. Either that or we have to try to find them ourselves throughout the state, which that's not going to be in our best interest to try to do. We're not going to get the best pricing scenario. So like I said, that'll be kind of a more discussion later on, but that was unfortunate. Right now we do have a need for pickup trucks, but we can't get them. That's the unfortunate thing. There's such a high demand, and you got to order like everything else, or even our plow trucks, you got to order a year or two in advance to get them. If we go on the lot and get whatever we want, yeah, but that's not the best interest of the county. We don't need to have a $60,000 pickup truck sitting there. So we are looking at going forward with trying to do something for the 2024 model year pickup truck. The crushing equipment, I just wanted to give an update on that. We did have a local dealer kind of sit down and give us a price on what they would offer for the equipment, plus putting it towards a trade. We looked at, we do have a need for loaders and loaders. We looked at the possibility of trading that equipment for 2 loaders, 3 loaders, whatever it would be. I felt that it was not in the best interest of the county to explore that option. So what we're looking at trying to do is we are going to bring all of our crushing equipment in from our Finder quarry, and we're going to bring it here to the shop this spring. I have Dan looking into the possibility of putting on an auction site where we can have an option that way, or we have an option of just selling it outright. We have our own auction here. We've had interest from contractors. We've had interest from other dealerships. Like I said, there's a lot of interest in purchasing this equipment. It's just, I feel we got to get the proper dollars for it, not just give it away like that at this point in time. So,
Are you gonna do any crushing out there this year?
so we crush 50,000 tons. Oz when we hired Haas to come in and do it. We have enough material sitting on the ground.
To go all year then,
in
huh?
2023, we will not be crushing.
Okay.
We don't have anything allocated to any projects or anything like that other than just our main utilization for that equipment or the material. So, yeah, like I said, we'll be bringing it in here just so we can go through it, and we've had individuals ask if they can see it run and all that stuff. So we just feel it would be better off here, not have a pile of people coming out to our Finder quarry where there's more hazards and all that. So that's the plan of attack at this point in time. Any questions before I go into kind of the meat and potatoes, what Gary's looking for now? So I did put in our packet, which is labeled 6E, our county construction projects. So obviously with our county trunk B projects from 1229 to Packer Drive being delayed to 2024, we went through our county construction projects for this year. So on this packet, as you can see, the upper portion was the original plan for our project scheduled for 2023. Obviously, with the delay of the 2B projects, that's a pretty significant dollar amount. So we were looking at what we can kind of jockey around to offset some of this. So the plan right now is we are going to be utilizing a portion of our county budget in 2023 to carry that forward into 2024 to offset our B project. So we're not looking next year, how are we going to pay for this? So with that being said, the bottom portion of this spreadsheet here, a lot of it has stayed the same, just the removal of the 2B projects. But we did add County Road B from Packer Drive to Double B to redo that this year. So we looked through the numbers based on what DOT funding that we will be getting, as well as carry forward of the money that for our B projects in the 2024, we do have the money sitting there to do this. Right now, I'm estimating that project to be approximately almost $1.4 million. But we do have a pretty substantial amount of money allocated to this project for DOT funds, pretty close to $500,000 there. So we do have one project, that Q&W. We are going to be carrying forward some funds from 2022 to our 2023 budget. So at the end of the day, the funds will be there to offset the project costs. I think a lot of people will be happy to hear this if we can do that project from Packer Drive to Double B. So that's the most heavily used county road in Dunn County. Obviously, we all drive it. Everybody seems to drive it, and it's not in the best of condition.
As bad as
this morning.
No, I mean this cold frost that we got did not help it. It tinted all the cracks, and it's even more rough. So,
And it northbound lane. Yeah, I couldn't believe the other day I traveled it. I hadn't noticed how washed this way it got.
Yep.
And I'm assuming that's from a lot of that.
if you notice,
It's the weather. I get the weather. It's so hard to have good roads. It's kind of weather. We all know that, but
a lot of people will drive like one tire on the shoulder, one in the middle.
yeah,
What I did this morning.
Oh,
yeah.
but I can remember when they redone that, they actually took some of the clay out of it to, when they went into Proctor's Field, you told me. So you would have to put a lot more gravel in there, or you think, to hold it up better?
So I've talked to Brent. We're actually in the process to get some locates done so we can actually do some soil boring done.
Okay.
From what I was told from years past, I was not here, but they did put a pretty significant sand lift in that roadway.
Okay.
My personal belief, the reason why we have the extensive cracking for that is anytime you put that amount of lift in there and pave it in the same year, you've got differential settling.
Oh.
I don't care what anybody says, you cannot compact
Right.
soils to like it never was touched.
Yeah.
It takes time. Get through a freeze-thaw cycle is your best option. And I've seen roads that we've done the same things too. At County Road East South, I drive that every day. Everywhere we put a lift, it's cracked every 10 feet. And I believe that's what County Road B was. So I believe there's base there. I believe there's adequate asphalt there. It's just, it cracked a lot due to that differential setting. It doesn't heal itself.
Yeah.
So do you try to like to grind it like in the spring and let it sit all summer and then pave it in the fall to get a little more compaction or?
Ideally, if you can, do all your construction, leave it gravel and let it sit over the winter is ideal. Obviously, County Road B, we couldn't get away with that. But in a situation like this, where we're gonna pulverize and repave it, the plan is to pulverize all the asphalt, not just mill it, just due to the significant cracking there. If we would mill that, all those reflective cracks would come. So we're defeating the purpose of it. So we would have to grind all layers of asphalt. And we would utilize that as base and then we would just pave the additional 4 inches of asphalt on top of it. So,
But just by pulverizing the blacktop now is almost like a lot of base
yeah.
putting down in, it's coming back with more.
Yeah, so I mean, if
New blacktop.
if there's 4 inches of asphalt, you can kind of say if we pulverize it, well, we got an additional 4 inches of
Mhm.
base. So, good news is, I did have a meeting with, Monarch yesterday. Sounds like asphalt prices are going down this year.
Really?
Not by a whole lot, but it sounds like they are going down, so that's a positive thing. So these numbers would be going down from our estimated cost, I was taking our 2022 numbers. So, like I said, that's positive news, in the right direction.
But you think that costs like less, like being that close to the road project and where the asphalt?
Honestly, that situation right there cannot get any better for asphalt costs. I mean, it is, you'll never find a plant that close. So.
Yeah, just that
it-
trucking yourself is gonna save you and the time,
Yep. Yeah, and I am looking at the possibility of outsourcing the paving on that, where we would do the trucking, but then hire a contractor to actually do the paving. I just, the mix that we would be putting down would be considered an MT mix, which is a heavier oil for heavier traffic. It is more costly than your traditional hot mix that we traditionally put on our county road system. But due to the amount of traffic on B, we would, so it's basically the same mix that would be put on a deal. With that, I don't know if I necessarily think our crew can do that. I with that different mix, I think we need to have a contractor that performs that type of work daily, to get our most bang for our buck. And like I said before, I think we would do the trucking costs, but they would be the actual paving portion of the contract. That's what I'm exploring right now. And if it can save us costs, if it costs money or save us money, that's the way to do it. I don't want to outsource everything, but I think explore that option. So that's good news. I don't know if you're excited about that, Gary, but
I am. And these guys go that way more than I do.
and
Just on it the other.
like I said, I have not mentioned anything to the general public or anything like that, but I do have people, obviously Facebook comments and all that when we delay their B projects. But when are you going to do north of that? A lot of people are concerned about it, so sure. Like I said, if we can do it, let's do it. So good. Any questions before we move on to the CIP and projects? So obviously this will be a topic that's going to be coming to full county board shortly here. I think it's in what, April? End of March. Okay. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on what I have requested for CIP capital improvement projects. Just so you have an understanding on what I'm requesting before we goes to full county board. Obviously, the next 5 years, I have a pretty significant request for equipment. Obviously, typically our fund balance pays for a great portion of that, but we do have a depleted fund balance that requires us to put this into a capital improvement. The biggest thing the biggest dollar amount that I want everybody to just be aware of is I have requested the possibility of adding on to our Menominee shop location there. As I stated before, this building was built in 1987, I believe it was, and we have currently outgrown it. Equipment's bigger. A lot of our equipment sits outside. Like I said, we have $500,000 backhoes that are sitting outside on a daily basis. We have been utilizing the old highway shop by the rec park to store a lot of our equipment in the wintertime, which is kind of a hassle to try to get in and out at times. At some point in time, who knows if that's going to be there. So I have contacted a local architectural agency and kind of given just, I'll say a wish list of having a 30,000 square foot steel building with automatic wash bay where we can wash our trucks, drive in, drive out type of thing. Save time and money on that as well. And as well as having a separate facility for our salt brine. Currently, it's in our back shop here, and it's just taking up more room for our equipment. It doesn't take up a large area. It's probably a 30 by 40 foot area, but it's still.
Have you got enough room, that addition without affecting the flow pattern to other stuff?
That would have to be explored.
You haven't looked at
like
it? Cool.
where it would be located, utilities, all that stuff. It's totally up in the air right now, but I wanted to explore it and say, hey, put it out there that this is a need, and if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, like I said, I wanted to actually have pictures, and these pictures I actually took of our shop one day. It was not staged. I mean, we had trucks lined up in the alleyway. We have trucks out here. We have trucks everywhere, equipment. And if we had to actually respond to a snowstorm or something like that, got to jockey all the equipment back out, get all the trucks out. Like I said, when this was designed, it was designed for the truck. That was the largest truck that we had in 1987.
Is that right?
Now it's tandems, it's quads, it's tries, it's
Realize it was that.
graders, everything is, I mean, it's unbelievable. So that's one big thing. Obviously, we do have a large need with our outline shops, with our fuel tanks. These fuel tanks are non-safety compliant right now. We do have like 1,000-gallon diesel fuel tank that we have at all of our outline shops that we fill up at. I would beg to say they're probably 30-some years old. We put a lot of parts and time into keeping the pumps going, and
But they're above ground or
they're
underground?
above ground. Yeah, so Dan and I have been discussing it. We need to replace these. And what I've tried to do is try to offset these costs over a 3-year span. Because we do have 5 outline shops. Trying not to say we need $300,000 to replace this all in 1 year. Trying to spread it out as best I can. We did have to replace pumps down to No Galley. They don't make the parts anymore. So we were looking at just kind of like a U-fuel system where it comes on a skid. It's got a pump, it's got a tank. Basically buy it and set it right on the ground. One big thing I'd like to do is communicate with our fuel system that we have here at Menominee. Currently, our outline shops, everything's written down on a piece of paper and it's an honor system. So our guys have to basically say they put 50 gallons in this truck. Dan tabulates this all in our system here.
50 in the truck and 25 in the pickup.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of times, like I said, it's an honor system.
Yeah.
We do have shut-offs on it, obviously, but I would say right at this point in time, there's no monitoring if somebody steals fuel. I mean, it's,
You have to have a self-contained like cement to put the tank in, is that something?
yeah, so
that-
these units that we have explored would have all that. It all comes, yeah, basically you just order how many gallons you want and
Okay.
they deliver it on a skid, and that's what we currently have now. It's the same system, but it's just 35 years old. And like I said, that's one of our big needs right now, as well as our trucks and equipment use and our needs. But like I said, the whole shop thing, I did put on the Rock Falls shop as well. Since my 15-year career here, it's been on the CIP request that I can recall for the last 15 years, to replace our Rock Falls shop. I was exploring the option if we were to build an addition here, could we eliminate the shop down there and utilize those funds potentially to do it here? I think that would be a solution to not have to buy both separate buildings. Like I said, the unfortunate thing is there's only one way down there across the H Bridge at Caryville. We would have a little bit less response time, but it would
You
it
try
would
to,
be doable.
you try to have it where the employees like live close to those outlying shops, like you, Mike Beekner uses a Colfax shop, which is nice and close. It'd be dumb to have somebody that lives down towards Elmwood. Well,
We do typically do that, but a lot of times we take a seniority. So individuals that have higher seniority, kind of, if they want to work in Rock Falls and they live in Menominee,
okay.
we will allow that. That is our hardest shop to find employees to want to work out of.
Oh, yeah.
The current shop does not have running water.
Oh.
It's just, there's no facilities. We have a porta potty sitting outside. Like I said, it's not a prestigious, luxurious shop to work out of. Let's
Never
say
been
that.
there.
Just a block building with 2-stall garage, with no insulation in it. Is the most costly building we have to run per square foot. So
I think you're a lot better off to close that one down and like I say, put it where the main shop is. I mean, that is such a outdated, that's not much of a shop. I think you're way money ahead by adding on to the main shop instead of there.
that's my general take as well. That's what I was leaning towards. To try to, I don't know if we go down a feasibility study type of road to try to determine if that's the best need or what, but like I said, it's something we need to explore at some point in time.
So if you did do that, would you have to make your addition a little bit like larger here because you don't have it down at Rock Falls?
No.
Okay.
So basically, we would have to accommodate 2 trucks, and a load. The original design. So this, like I said, has been a 15-year work in progress with the Rock Falls shop. So there was a preliminary architectural sketch that was done back when Jesse was the commissioner. It was a 3-stall bay with a loader and 2 trucks. So we would still have to keep the loader down there. Our salt shed is on a separate property than the actual building where we house the equipment. So it's 2 different locations. We would still have to have a salt facility, salt shed, and storage facility, and then something for a loader.
What about exploring, like, so we move it up here, say, you still think you need it, there is a need for a bay for the loader part of it, because that makes perfect sense to save mileage on the truck, but what about like a private entity exploring, like renting during the winter months or whatever, a place to keep the loader,
You're talking
I'm
just
just saying,
that
just
facility.
ties with it completely, and I mean,
So that has been explored too.
Okay.
That do we cut ties with just maintaining? Does Dunn County look at maybe Pepin County maintaining the roads down there like the state system, or Eau Claire County or whatever? the problem I don't necessarily like is who responds to what. So do they, if the sheriff's department gets a phone call from whatever that it's icy conditions on 85, do they call Dunn County or do they call Pepin County or do they call whoever?
Yeah,
That's where that kind of.
I guess I'm not saying that necessarily. What I'm talking about is storage, you know, being able to store a loader where you send the truck down from here, but they're gonna load material.
So I guess if we were to abandon the Rockwall shop.
Yep.
What we have currently is we have a salt shed and we have a lean-to. So that lean-to houses the loader.
Oh,
It does
So-
right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It is a state-owned salt shed
Gotcha.
with a
Yeah.
lean-to. So that's something that I think would just be all we would really need.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So it is out of the element. I mean, there is not snow or any ice on it or anything like that. It's just cold, sitting out in the cold, but.
So you build a brand new one down at, Galley, would that be closer to go in that area than come all the way up here to get,
So the problem is O'Galley's, we
In a
don't
state.
have enough space to
There.
put 2 other trucks in it. So it's only a 4 bay, but that houses a grader, a loader, and
okay,
2 trucks. And so that's where we wouldn't have the capacity to do that.
but it would be closer though, right? Wouldn't it, or not much?
No,
It wouldn't.
they actually, from what I was told, they did a feasibility study on that, about the possibility of abandoning the Rockwall shop and then moving it to
Yeah.
the O'Galley shop and actually renovating that shop. And the response time was a lot more difficult,
Hmm.
to get to.
At
You're
least you're
driving through quite a portion of Pepin to get to
Yeah.
Dunn County. So, I mean, it could be done, but
At least you done the study to find out if what's feasible or not, yeah.
I think if we, like I say, if we were gonna explore something, I think the best option, in my opinion, that's just my opinion, is to try to have the capacity here and kind of not have that. So,
Yeah, knowing the Rock Falls area, I would agree, because that salt shed has nothing to do with the shop. And it already has everything there. So I mean, it just, if you know the area, it does make sense not to have it down there. So.
yeah, in the salt sheds, if we ever have to replace that salt shed, that's something we can explore with the state. That's not, wouldn't be a county cost. So, like I said, I just wanted to present this to you just so you're first to see it and hear it. When you see sticker shock, that's the whole county board. Like I said, originally, and I don't know how this has ever come about, but originally the addition on the Menominee shop was in the capital improvement plan prior to me putting it on here. This was on here. But it had a dollar amount of $2 million. So I don't know what that all includes. That was previous individuals before me.
Cause it does kind of stick out like a sore thumb that.
It does.
2026.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, that was just one estimated cost
Yeah.
from one individual. That's not to say what it actually would be. So at this point in time, buildings, I think they're greatly inflating their costs to make sure there's enough. Obviously, an architect or an engineer, they're saying, well, we don't know what the costs are going to be 2-3 years from now if this does happen. So just, I would recommend adding an extra $1 million onto it, is what they're basically saying. It's unfortunate that looking back at this building, when it was built back in '87, it was just over $1 million.
I was gonna say, I didn't think, boy, they fought that.
Oh,
And county, oh,
and then when
You
you,
see the old county shop down there, that was ridiculous.
county chair lost his election over it.
I would love to build a building like
Oh,
this.
is that
for $1
right?
million.
That's right. It's all for it.
But I know other highways like Eau Claire County, St. Croix County, you're looking at $30 to $35 million to build a whole new facility.
Sure,
That's what they've allocated to their highway shops. So
$1 million a year. It's going up.
And
Give or take.
the county administrator,
Yep,
And-
and Barron,
It's in
I
that.
don't wanna go down that road.
I know, it's been really, so it's about, it's running, said like 2 months. It was a long period of time behind schedule and about 50%
They,
over cost.
yeah, last I heard it was about $5 million over budget.
So where are they putting that? That north of the electric company from that, or electric?
The old one was.
It's right.
Oh, they are?
Or down.
Oh,
Yeah, they're gonna be on both sides of the road.
2 years ago, I was supposed to happen now. We missed out on it by $5,000. I'm glad we didn't get it the way it's.
oh,
Yeah, it's, yeah. They always say that, when you build a facility, that ends your career. That's what they say. Go through it, the whole process. But any questions on that, before I guess we go further? I wanted to just, update you on the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant that, we submitted an application with St. Croix and Eau Claire County. This was a grant to try to come up with a safety plan, a safety analysis, countywide safety analysis, and all 3 counties. And this would just be for county roadways. It wouldn't be for the town roadways. It wouldn't be for the city of Menominee or anything like that. But it would just kind of point out where our problematic intersections are, problematic roads, what could be done to solve it.
But
And
there'd be no money to help for those projects. They just
no,
tell you
this
where
is
the
just-
problems
This
are.
is just to put an analysis together.
Okay.
Great news, we were actually awarded a $500,000 grant for all 3 counties.
really?
Which is, I don't want to say it was more than what we asked for, so which is good. St. Croix is actually taking the lead on it, so the grant officially goes to St. Croix. But we will be obviously getting our portion, and then it will just be going to St. Croix. So right now, we're looking at probably Dunn County being maybe $150,000 to put a grant or a safety analysis together. Paid 100%. So the only money we had basically into it is to pay the consultant to fill out the application, which will be right around $3,000.
So is that every county road or just,
Every county road.
but not the state or federal highway?
Nope, not state, federal, or local towns. I did ask St. Croix. I've not had a response. If we do have extra money, is it a possibility to maybe explore having the city of Menominee get on board with it? Like I said, no response. St. Croix is looking at some of their larger cities in Richmond and all that that have.
But I
Put
would
money
think that
into
this
it as
would take a
well,
little bit of the liability away. You get that list and you're working on the worst ones. I think that would help your liability insurance.
Yeah.
That you already know about it and you're working towards correcting them.
Yeah, so I mean, if they conclude that, let's say we have an intersection that's every year we have a crash on it. Okay, so let's try to address it. Now we can maybe look at getting grants or state
Because
funding
of
for
that
it.
study.
Saying, here it is, this is the study that was performed and we need to get some highway safety improvement knowledge. So, like I said, when I first started here, we tried to explore this and it just kind of got put off, kept getting put off just because of the money situation. Sure. Try to implement it. We had bigger needs at that time. So like I said, this is a great benefit for Dunn County. So. Yes, we'll move on. I don't have anything in the packet here, but I just wanted to bring your attention, the West Central Spring Committee and Commissioner meeting. You know, Jerry went to it in Pepin this last fall meeting, but that is going to be scheduled for May 3rd. So if I just wanted to mention that to you early. If you have any time available, I highly recommend it. It is going to be in Pierce County. Pierce County will be hosting it this year. So there will be DOT members there. There might be a possibility of Secretary Thompson might be there, Transportation Secretary. It's informative. There's some stuff that kind of just doesn't really pertain to us, but they do bring it to light. But yeah, it's an informative meeting, and it's good to meet other county individuals as well. So so May 3rd at this point in time, I think it's like 9 o'clock or something like that. Nothing more information will come, but I just wanted to mention that so you can put that on your calendars if you're interested. And then I sent this out late, the highway financials. I sent this to you guys last night or just
At 5 o'clock.
it was hot off the press. So we were reviewing this pretty significantly, but I just wanted to bring to your attention. So going through the 2022 highway budget, based on our expenses and revenue, we are projecting a pretty large amount of surplus. We are looking into kind of where that was. We do have some understanding of, we did have a project that we did not perform in 2022 that we are going to utilize those funds and carry those forward into 2023. So there is a dollar amount allocated to that. We did have extra revenue with state projects, town projects. There's additional revenue sources there. We also did have a lot of our budget is equipment utilization. So we did have the equipment utilization. The way it was put in was kind of in our material cost, which it should be separated. So we are going forward in exploring that as well for our 2023 budget. But I just want to, like I said, present this to you. We do have a pretty significant amount of potential budget surplus. This will obviously be audited. So I guess I wouldn't get too excited about it until we see what the audit comes up with. Final number. Like I said, we're pretty confident with these numbers. I'm not going to say I'm 100% confident, but pretty confident. I do want to dive a little bit into make sure all of our construction costs are accounted for, a lot of our big ticket maintenance item costs. We do obviously have a CHEMS software program outside of our SAP. We do a lot of tracking in there as well. So I do kind of want to see if those numbers compare to these numbers. So it is a work in progress. And like I said, everything will be coming out once the audit is performed, which starts typically in April. Or it has started.
But the report actually comes out.
Yeah. But we will know more, obviously.
So the main reason why it's so high is because of projects that were not done or like moved forward?
Yeah, so we had a project on Q&W by Downing that was slated to be completed in 2022, and unfortunately we were waiting for the design.
Okay.
So we do have to do some purchasing of some real estate to do this project. So that was delayed, and those monies are going to be carried forward into our 2023 budget. So this doesn't show that. Obviously, it just shows the money's there. It's just we're going to move that forward into our 2023 budget just for that particular project. Obviously, there was. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but this budget was put together by individuals that are no longer here. So where the dollars were allocated to and for what, I kind of we're running into it blind. Like, what was it for? If you had $2 million allocated to maintenance, what was it for? And we were kind of running into it blind. Construction, like I said, a lot of it is our equipment utilization is shown in our material cost, which that shouldn't be the case. Obviously, if we do a construction project and we're utilizing our equipment, we should be charging ourselves for that equipment to purchase new equipment. So that right now is sitting into our material cost is what I have.
So right
noted.
now, our using our own equipment was budgeted as an expense, but we don't really have an expense. But we also didn't have a process to set that money aside other than in fund balance at the end of the year. So we're creating a process now, will come to you eventually here as it gets developed, to move that equipment rental, for lack of a better word, into an equipment replacement fund, so that when we use our own equipment and use our equipment on a state project, set that money aside, then that's kind of the proceeds from that to pay ourselves in order to buy new equipment.
So we can be self-sustaining and not have to ask for capital dollars to purchase equipment.
But I would also say that Dustin and Beata and Sarah have worked really, really closely to try to drill into all of this and understand it and set it up better for 2023, so that because everyone wants to be good stewards of the money given and understand why a request is what a request is, and they've worked really hard on understanding that. So I think it will look different going forward, but it is what it is. And the benefit is, with the depleted fund balance, if indeed there actually is a significant surplus and that rolls to the highway fund balance, it essentially begins to replenish that highway fund balance without any additional money needing to be requested from the county, right? Because the auditor has said, with your depleted fund balance, you may wish to address that. You may wish to move money to that. Well, if that happens somewhat organically, then that isn't the worst thing.
I mean, a big positive is we all want to see a surplus and a budget. We're in the red. I mean, and I think, like I said, we're addressing that, managing it very, very well. If we don't have an issue like that. Good. So, like I said, Beata and Sarah and Chris and I, we spend it. If we're all highway commissioners now and understand the
Some of us are kindergarten highway commissioners, some of us are seniors, but
Well, that's good. That sounds good.
we're diving into it and make sure and we're comparing apples to apples. So that, I guess, concludes my staff report. Long-winded staff report. Sorry.
That's fine. Are there any other questions for Dustin on the staff report? Okay. We'll go to item 7A, approving the vouchers. I had one question. APH stores. What
I was
is
gonna ask that too, because they're all like a
Lot of
small amount.
Yeah.
They're all little amounts.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Oh, well,
If I had to guess, it's an online vendor that, like, it could be through Amazon or something.
oh,
We
okay.
pay for.
A lot of them are
But I-
under $50, so
Yeah.
there's nothing like maybe office supplies.
I know Sarah's probably looking it up right now, maybe.
Can you repeat the vendor name? I'm sorry.
APH Stores Incorporated.
That's Auto Value,
Oh,
the auto parts.
Auto Value Parts House.
okay.
Yep.
Well, that's
So
what
you
it
do
is.
it all the time, didn't you?
No, but as soon as you said it, you can't just spell out Auto Value.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Mark, you got one?
No,
No.
I had questions about.
Oh. Gary,
I'm good.
you have any other questions? Not, is, there a motion to approve vouchers?
I so move.
Second? There's no other questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Signed materials, bid results.
Yeah, so, we sent out, RFP requests for, signed materials. So what we have been doing over the last, this will be our 7th year. We do a blanket replacement of all of our county signs. So a lot of these, basically the lifespan of a sign is 8 to 10 years. So we're trying to do a rotation of that 8 to 10 year rotation. So that's based on our reflectivity. When you're driving at night, how it reflects back to you. So after a period of time, they does lose reflectivity. So we are looking at this year to complete. It's a portion up by the town of Sheridan. I believe it's like double V, triple V, F, all that stuff. We're looking at that. We will basically have majority of the county. We would have one more year yet, and have 8 years. We are going to look at the possibility of maybe not having to replace signs for maybe a year or two, and look at going through another rotation maybe 3-4 years from now. So we're going to evaluate that, but based on the signs that we need to replace do a blanket replacement on our county road system in that particular section. We did receive 6 bids, and the low bid was DCE, which is the jail system, state jail system.
Oh, yeah.
Out of Portage, they do it, and as well as Stanley. They make signs. So they were the low bid. So I guess my recommendation is to award BCE the contract to sign materials for 2023.
Okay. Is there a motion to that effect? We have one, Gary, second by Mark.
And the only question I would have on that is like a lot of the stop signs are having that reflector on the post itself. Is that something that's going to be done on all the stop signs, or?
So we currently do it on problematic intersections.
Okay.
Where we've had known issues with people going through the intersections, or we do it on the county system, but the state does not acknowledge it. So any roadway that comes out to a state road is a state stop sign. So like County Road B coming out to County Road 12 or State Highway 1229. I know it's stop and go right there, but that would be the state stop sign, not the county. So we cannot put the reflective strip on that. The counties have tried with the state, and it's not part of the MUTC, which is the manual for uniform traffic control devices. They won't allow it.
I was kind of curious about that, because I've seen a few of those around where the post itself is got it
It's
on.
something so simple, and it actually helps, but the state won't do it. So we are, like I said, I would beg to say maybe half of our stop signs on our county system have the reflective. They're very minimal. It's like $15. For added safety, it's a no-brainer.
Any other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion? We do have a motion and a second, don't we?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor of awarding BCE, the county sign replacement bid, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Seal coat aggregate proposals.
So I don't have anything in your packet here. So I guess I requested the proposals for seal coat aggregate for a chip seal projects that we complete this summer. The bids are actually coming in now, but they don't. The date I had on there was next week Thursday for a deadline. What I'm looking at trying to do is I want to have our county quad axles haul the material. So we can get the materials coming in here now. give our guys something to do outside of brushing. If we can take 5 employees and 5 quad trucks and go and haul the materials, and it's a benefit for us. Trucking is a very, very difficult process for a lot of these contractors. Once spring officially arrives in summer, and now they got to start hauling chips to us, it's difficult for them. So we are putting a list together for our chip seal roads this summer, come up with a quantity. What I'm looking at, trying to, I guess, why I put it on the action item is, what I'm requesting is basically giving me the authority to take the bid proposal in the best interest of the town. So when I open these up next week, and whoever's low bid, and we would go with that. I guess that's what I put it on there just so I can get this going sooner than later, not have to wait for our March meeting. Like I said, I want to start hauling these chips next week if we can.
So how far away do you have to haul it from?
So the last few years we've had 2 companies, Oz, Sons, and Slobotnik. So they have quarries over by Stanley. So it is a granite material. I prefer the granite material and not river rock. Granite seems to last a lot longer, holds up better longevity wise. We've had great luck with it. It is a darker material, which is beneficial in the winter. It seems to melt the snow and ice a little bit better than having a brown rock or a gray rock or anything like that. In the years past, we have not necessarily gone with low bid. We have gone with the material that has worked for us in the best. That has worked with our spray patching unit, our chip sealing process. A lot of the towns have requested to have dark rock. So that's what we're looking at. Like I said, I think that's typically going to be a granite material. It's going to be 100% fractured material. Some of these bids that we get, they don't have that. It's maybe a 50-50 blend. Some of it is a 70-30 blend, and request 100%. It is a DOT spec material. So I guess that's what I put it on here just so I'm requesting that basically that I have the authority to choose the contract for the best interest of the company. No matter what contractor, I guess, it is at this point in time.
I'll make that motion that we go with Justin given authority.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any other discussion?
When are you expecting the road band to go on?
Don't ask me that.
Oh,
It's going 2 months early.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or the question.
The problem we have though is there's not a lot of frost.
No, I know it.
And the last we checked, it was like a foot. And now obviously the cold snap that we had, I don't know, maybe 3 feet for all I know. But that's very, very below average than what normal. I mean, we might have 6 feet in typical years.
On the field, there's nothing.
Yeah. I mean, we're doing stuff in the ditches and we're tearing the ditches up. No frost.
get that snow cover early, just like a blanket.
So I'm all for if we put road bands on, or we don't have to put road bands on, whatever we have to do, I guess it's great. But it's a short year, perfect. But like I said before, winter is still here. It could turn in a heartbeat.
Oh, we're,
but
you're gonna be busy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yet on a 10-day outlook for Eau Claire, it's all mostly in the 30s, low in the high teens or low 20s, Be out there getting maple syrup pretty soon.
That's right. Any other questions? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. 2023 pickup truck bid results.
So like I stated before, we did send out proposals for 2023 model pickup trucks, ranging from half tons all the way to one ton model. It was a eye-opening experience, but we did receive bid proposals from Markwart Motors for Ram or Dodge, you want to call it, models. Kai's Chevy Town for Chevy models, and then Northtown Ford for Ford pickup models. So I did put together. I just wanted to share with you, obviously, our budget for 2023. So we do have allocated $1.225 million for our 2023 equipment needs or budget. That has been approved by County Board to Capital Improvement. So what we're looking at right now is we have four known costs with our 4 tandem axles that are being in production that we anticipate being completed this year. So with that, we had estimated $1 million for those 4 trucks. It actually came in at 1.16, as you can see on the actual cost. But our trade and sell value has greatly increased from what we originally estimated. By trading in 4 tandem axles that are kind of our problem child trucks, that are newer, has given us more value. So I did present that before. The International has basically given us right around that $65,000 per unit, which adds up to that $256,000 roughly for a trade-in value. So that reduced our actual cost. With our quad axle payment being a known quad axle payment of $100,000, which will be coming up here, that leaves us with approximately $185,000 in our budget to spend. So what I was looking at, where'd you get that? That should be right before that.
My 7D&E is different than yours.
Yeah, so it should be right. It was included with it. Did it?
That's
I
the
have
one?
it.
You must have lost yours.
I must have.
Yeah,
Wow. Well, it's all right.
but you can
Carry
read
on.
mine. So basically, like I said, if we have 1.25 allocated to it and what we've spent for our tandems and quad axle payments, and we're anticipating a skid steer payment potentially if John Deere or whoever lets us do a trade in again, that would leave us with $185,000. So with that, I was looking at trying to get some pickup trucks in here if we can, because we do have some very, very big needs on our pickup trucks. The problem is we can't get pickup trucks. We're the 2023 work truck model. We're not looking for any LTZ. We're not looking for Denali packages. We're not looking for any of that. We're looking for
You want to treat the boys when they got to travel around?
plain Jane, 4 wheels, 4-wheel drive. I don't care what color it is. Power windows and power locks.
Radio, right?
Yeah, and a backup alarm. That's all we need on them. And we don't need anything extravagant. So I put a whole list together. So these were 2023 pricing models, but talking to them, none of them get them. So yeah, I just wanted to present to you, though. I did compare the state contract for the same identical model. As you can see, state contract is in the same boat. So the state contract, the DOT contracts with a very, very large dealership. Predominantly they might be down in Madison. They might be down over in Fond du Lac. That's who they contract with for a period of time. The state contract goes till June of 2023. And then they either have to renew the contract or so. A lot of these state contracts haven't changed with the dealerships. They stayed the same. It's just the pricing has changed. I guess what I'm ultimately getting at is we can't get 2023 models, so my recommendation is we don't accept 2023 model bid proposals that we've requested. The issue we fall into is I spoke to local dealerships and I spoke to the state contract dealership. They are no longer taking 2023 model ordering. They are taking 2024 model trucks starting here very, very shortly in February. Problem is, they don't have pricing. Pricing doesn't come out until May, but they're taking orders for it in February. Can't even guarantee you when these trucks are going to be here if we were to order something. It is just, it's a learning process for me, and it's just god awful. It's like, okay, how do we go into this? Do we order trucks? We have no idea what the price is going to be.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's for the local dealerships and everybody.
Oh,
It's honest to God, it's just weird. I don't know how to describe it. They'll
Are
take,
they
they'll
under
take,
the loop?
no.
You order them. But then it says you can't even order them,
we
and
can
if you
order
don't
them.
want 'em,
Correct.
they
So,
know.
so the situation is the sheriff's department did that. So the sheriff's department ordered 5 brand new
Okay.
pickup trucks through Northtown.
Okay.
They only took 4. So they actually have an order through the sheriff's department that's sitting on their lot. That's what this one truck is. As you can see, the Ford F-150 Super Crew up on the top there with the 3.5 EcoBoost. That was the sheriff's truck order.
okay.
As you can see, the cost of it though, $46,000. We can get that same truck on the state contract for $31,000.
And they're still making money on that, right? I mean, there's that much difference? What
It's
they
based-
charge the
it's based-
public?
It's based on volume. So
Oh,
basically GM, they say, okay, if you are a dealership that's selling 1,000 trucks versus 5 trucks,
here's your,
you get a better deal. Honest to God, this is just the weirdest system I've ever experienced.
Well, I mean, we might have talked about it here, but I know some of the other counties, like the county administrative coordinators that I meet with, some of those counties are just going to, flipping vehicles every 2 to 3 years. Because the resale value is so high, and if you can buy them on the state contract for $31,000, you drive for 2 or 3 years, they're turning them around for having driven for.
I mean, and Scott just did it with facilities. I mean, it was a 5-year-old truck. They paid $35,000 for, and he got 30 for it for a 5-year-old truck. And it's like the biggest thing is I do believe we need to go and we have to try to at least order these trucks. What we were looking at is half ton models are kind of, I wouldn't say useless to us, but they are. They have their certain applications for a half ton pickup is everyday drive nowadays. If you look at the difference just with a half ton to a 1 ton, it's $5,000 difference on a state contract. So it's like, why would you buy a half ton model when you got twice, if not 3 times the truck for $5,000 more?
You can work that truck
Yeah.
versus right around in it.
So what we were looking at is if we're taking these 2023 state contract pricing, to me, that's our best interest for the county is to go through the state contract. Typically, we always like to buy local if we can. I'm not saying it's the best interest of the county to buy local. So I guess that's where we got to come up with a solution if we want to continue that policy and model. Just expect to probably pay more for that same vehicle. I don't know if buying local is going to be, will we get the trucks quicker? I have no idea. I think they're all in the same boat. Every dealership gets it from the same place. So what we were looking at is if there's an increase of just say these trucks are $50,000 for a 3500 series, we would have $150,000 kind of set aside for this order when we have $185,000 kind of it's sitting there is what we're anticipating. So I guess that's what I would like to do is just say, hey, we're going to go and we're going to order 3500 series models. And if we look at that, like an 8-foot box, 3500, the best interest is a Chevy Silverado crew cab. They're so close to one another. We have no idea what the pricing will be, though. That's the problem. Nobody can tell us this.
3 from each company until one comes in cheaper, doesn't it?
But
I guess
and we can say we're not going to do anything right now and wait till April, May before we know it. But I think we need to act on it now in order to get it on order. If we're going to do that, to try to get them here in 23. Because the way it's going, it may be 24, and we may not.
So then you're buying a truck that's already a year old model when it comes back time to trade it in. But I know I just priced out like the 350 Ford, and that's like about $20,000 more dollars than what's priced right here. So there's local isn't the way to go sometimes.
Correct. And like I said, the typical county policy is what we try to do is buy local, and we're supporting our local dealerships and all that. May not be in the best interest for the county cost wise though. So I guess that's where.
So what is that amount? I mean, you pay like $1,000 more to go like local as compared to the state, or is there a dollar amount there someplace?
I'm only going on 2023 pricing right now.
Yeah.
And if I'm looking at our 2023 pricing, it's $10,000 different from a local price to a state contract price.
That's almost too much to ignore.
It is, but I don't like doing that.
Me either.
But we're here looking out for the county, I guess.
Yeah.
And like I said, if we look at what Kai's presented just for a 3500 crew cab 8-foot box was 47.4.
Mm-hmm.
So we can still say maybe 2024 model would be 50,000 instead of 47.4. So I mean we're kind of saying the same. We're going to allocate $50,000 per truck, but in the end, the state contract could be 40,000, and Kaiser, Northtown, or whatever could be 50,000. We don't know this, right?
Because it's nice to buy local, but have you ever seen a hard up car dealership owner?
I am not going there.
Well, we got one in the town of Grant. He's got some nice homes and that kind of stuff. So I don't think they're going to go to the.
Not going there.
Well, this is public to it.
Yeah.
It's all recorded.
Well, yeah, I just $10,000 difference. It's awful hard for us to sit here and say we shouldn't go with state, but
Save 20% of vehicles, you could buy 5 instead of 4.
Yeah.
And get an extra truck out of it.
And right now, I think what we're doing is, and I've expressed this to Brent and Dan. So we have 18 pickup trucks. I told Brent and Dan, I want to condense that to 12 to 14. We don't need 18 trucks. We don't need a pickup truck in every outline shop. These guys can drive their single axles, their tandems, whatever they have to do to get to the job site. Unfortunately, our pickup trucks, we don't make money on pickup trucks.
no.
We don't do that. So it's like, I want to be able to condense these down. My tentative goal is, like Chris said, is to try to, if we have 12 pickup trucks, every 3 years, try to get them, like maybe buy 3 or 4 of them every year to try to roll them out where we're getting value out of these newer vehicles, instead of a 15-year-old truck and it's got no value. So I guess my recommendation, and you guys can take this the way you want it, but what I was looking at is to buy 3 3,500 series trucks. I'm not saying it has to be a Chevy, it has to be a Ford, just a 3,500 series truck with an 8-foot box with their largest V8 they make, under the state contract price. Go through the state contract. That's my recommendation, but I'm gonna leave that up to you guys. You wanna say scrap the whole idea and say, no, let's wait until we have pricing, that's totally up to you.
Well,
Like I said, it's tough for everybody. We're running into it blind, not knowing what the costs are gonna be. I don't foresee it dramatically changing. I don't think it's gonna go from 36,000 to 60,000. I don't see that happening. I've asked the individuals after the state contract if they could enlighten me if they think it's gonna be 5%. They won't even tell me. Because GM, Ford, they haven't told them. So they're in it blind too.
Sure.
But they're taking orders.
You guys what's your thoughts?
Prices are kind of stable now, right now. Fertilizer and fuel and everything.
They did tell me that
Natural gas.
GM I was looking at just because of the lowest bid. So I asked them and they said GM is not honoring the price.
Oh, they're not.
No. So that's why they're gonna have to, that's why all these prices are gonna change potentially. And I'm saying if GM's doing it, Ford is doing it, Dodge is doing it, sure, they're all gonna do it. They're not honoring their price.
Well, you've heard the recommendation from our commissioner.
So I shouldn't have put it on the agenda this time, is what you're saying.
But we don't have to take it, right?
No, okay. These work trucks, like I said, are such a hot commodity that they can sell them anywhere else. Our plow trucks are the same way. They've all said it. You order them, you don't want them, we will sell them.
Well, if that's the case, then I'll make that motion that we give him authority to put it out there.
We have a second?
Is that like through the state contract?
State contract.
Okay.
Randy, did you try to second it?
Yeah, I'll second it. I was gonna say,
We heard something, but we don't know what it was.
I guess what I want to reiterate though is for 3 3,500 series model trucks
yes,
under the state contract.
2023.
2024 models.
24 models.
Oh, 24, okay.
Yeah, they would be 2024 models.
Because they sure won't be probably coming in anyhow. 23 or not.
So the way the system is they're taking orders for 2024 models. They will be building them in 23. So there is a possibility we could get them here probably this fall.
Okay.
That's not to say it will happen.
Yeah.
It could be drawn out into 2024.
Yeah.
And if we have to, we will carry these funds over to 2024 to pay for it.
Are there any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye. Carried. Okay.
So I guess what I want to go back to is that was basically for item E. So what I want to, I guess, have a
Oh, I
motion
see.
on to is if we're basically not accepting the 2023 proposal. We'll have to have that as a separate item.
Is there a motion to that effect?
Motion. Scrap the 23 pricing.
A second? Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay.
Let's take D and E down.
Item out.
So in your packet, 7F, I have it labeled, is the 2022 budget carry forward for county construction of our county road Q and W project. So this will be presented to full county board coming up here shortly.
Next Wednesday.
But I just wanted to, it has to go through the standing committees first or before it goes there. But it is basically in the agenda to at full county board. But what we're looking at is taking 602,837.58 to complete the County Road Q W project south of 170 by Downing. Transferring those 2022 fiscal dollars to 2023 budget. Complete that in 2023.
Has that price gone up then because of being postponed, or everything is pretty much spoken for?
So original estimate was 550,000, we did up it. Not knowing what the asphalt prices, gravel
Oh, okay.
prices. But good news is we're hearing that asphalt is down. So the offset to this is our equipment costs and our labor costs went up. So it'll probably even itself out. So
Okay, is there a motion?
I'll make it. To move this forward.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, construction plan. 5-year plan.
I tried to work through this the best I can to try to come up with a 5-year plan. Obviously I hate 5-year plans because they change so dramatically over time. There's a lot of things out of our control. But the big thing is the next 2 to 3 years, I kind of want to get set in stone here. But obviously I did make the change for 2023 to reflect the changes of our B projects being delayed. And then with the addition of our County Road B project from Packer Drive to Double B. So I did change that 5-year plan for 2023. And also did reflect the 2024. So those 2 years is what I trying to set in stone. But as you can see, I flip-flopped the B projects and then I put the big majority of our B projects into 2024. I did note some of these costs, like the County Road B project from 1229 to I-94 of 1.3 million. That's our 20% portion. So in the other B project from I-94 to Packer Drive, that's 100% paid by the county. And then once the project is completed, we get $1 million reimbursement. So I was noting the $2.6 million in the budget here for the 100% cost. But I did show that down below as $1 million reimbursement. So obviously that $6.3 million looks pretty high, but there's $1 million taken off of that. And then also we are looking at taking that $2.7 million allocated for 2023 to 2024. So that'll reduce that considerably. I did show some SDP project funding for a lot of these projects. But the biggest thing I want to take from this is what I'm trying to go down this road is we do have a need, obviously, to do a lot of these deteriorated roads they need a lot to improve them. Like our County Road Z project, they're so far gone and abandoned that you can't just pulverize them. So we got to do some widening. We got to add pace. We got to do that. We're always going to have those type of things. What I want to try to get away from is spending all of our county construction into those type of roads. We don't necessarily have the staff that we can do 5 county construction projects a year where we're doing full replacement, doing everything. We just don't have we live in Wisconsin. We don't have the manpower and we don't have the time to do it. What I'm trying to do is, like I said, the whole B project in 2024 really, it does hurt us where we're trying to get miles out the door. But we have such a large cost in a mile and a half of road. So we're spending a lot of money in a mile and a half, but I'm trying to get to that 20 to 25 miles of road a year. Try to get ahead of the ball game here. But it's going to be a slow transition. As you can kind of see in 2025, 2026, I put more of those pulverized and repaved roads in there. I'd like to make super highways of some of these roads, but unfortunately, I think more bang for our buck. If we can just make a smooth surface for some of these roads, I think we would be advantageous to do that. So it doesn't come with a cost though. So just be aware of that. If you want to do 20 to 25 miles of road a year and still kind of maybe do these 1 or 2 projects where we are sticking more money into them, you're looking at about $6 million annually to do that. I don't have costs in going into the 25, 26, 27, or 28. This 5-year plan is already outdated. But there could be potential state funding in some of these projects that I don't have right now, but I can apply for it. Not guaranteed that it's going to happen. So this is kind of like a wish list, worst case scenario. That if we don't have any funding and if we want to make improvements, no state funding or federal funding, we may be looking at trying to implement $6 million a year of county construction. Which if you look, 6 million maybe gets you 20 miles of road. And these costs, and I just want to point that out, these costs are for labor, equipment, and material costs. So got to point that out. So that's where we were talking before, is kind of charging ourselves to do some of this work to pay for our equipment. These costs do reflect that. So I like to present a 5-year plan. Got to have the committee to approve it. Say no. Okay. There may be a road that you would suggest we should look into. We can definitely look at that. Like I said, a 5-year plan is more of a 2-year plan, in my opinion, because it changes so dramatically. If we have a road that falls apart after the spring, and we got to address it sooner than later. So it's a very difficult process.
Well,
but we got to have something.
To me, it's good to have numbers projected out like this and a wish or a hope list, whatever that right word is, wish, hope. We're gonna do this, how many miles,
Yeah,
because you're telling us this is the minimum that we should be doing
so
to
if we
keep up and not end up occurring even higher costs 10 years from now. I mean, that's, so I think this is a good foundation, whether you flip County Road K to an O 1 year or the other, whatever.
Right.
I'm looking for a motion to approve this and move forward. So make that
Motions are a second.
I'll second it with the idea that it can be changed. You don't know how the whole road comes out over winter. Sometimes they just go to heck.
Yeah, you might have to do W. And the Grand Town Hall, the S. We don't even know. We don't even know.
How can you fix that up by like Ronnie Figures where there's a culvert? If you don't know it, man, you're gonna go airborne. It's just a big dip in W there. That,
we don't have a sign or anything by it.
No.
as Dave always says, well, the locals don't know about it.
It's not the locals we worry about.
Right.
It's the ones that don't. And
yeah.
we've done it for years too, where we put gravel in it.
Yeah.
That dip.
But it seems like once the frost goes out, it kind of
comes right back up.
Basically, it's substandard soil below it. So you might have clay and then sand that's compacted around the culvert.
Yeah.
And they freeze differently. So you always try to use the same material if you can, or blend it, mix it. That's what you got to do.
There's actually 3 of them right within that. Right down below.
Go down that hill too.
Yeah, by the Fisher Hill, and then pumped by Durstein's there between Durstein's and the trigger place. But there isn't much you can do with that one, but that is rough too. What do you do? There's lots of them. So, anyway.
Well, you're the chairman, so we'll take direction from you.
So I should go out and shovel some in there. Anyway, are there any other questions on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. 2024-2028 equipment plan. Item 7H.
So same concept basically as our 5-year county construction, but wanted to present a 5-year equipment budget to try to project what we need and what it's gonna kind of cost to do it. It's difficult. When I put these together, I almost feel like, I hate to say it, but I feel like I'm greedy. Like I'm putting these together and saying, we need $1.7 million for equipment.
I think, yeah, but
It's,
for me personally, I need to see those numbers as we go through the rest of the county process. In order to allocate the monies in the directions they need to go in. And let's just face the fact, I mean, there's a couple of entities that are really gonna be expensive, and that, you know, equipment and fuel, and that's what we're dealing with here. So, you know, I like to see this, and I like to see it projected, and you have every year goes up a little bit, what your ask is, and that's probably normal, at least normal, because that's the cost of living goes up every day, it seems like. But,
yeah,
so I'm gonna make a motion that we approve this too, I guess.
Because what I like about it is you're trying to get on a schedule
Exactly.
for equipment. I mean,
Exactly.
you know,
Now everybody knows.
And
Fine,
knowing
too.
what it costs to continue to do this.
Exactly. There is a,
well, in a perfect world, this would be self-sustaining. It would,
Yeah.
in a perfect world. We would generate enough revenue to purchase $1.5 million worth of equipment every year.
Mhm.
But we're trying to get to that. So
yeah, maybe we will 3 years from now. Who knows? So this can change, but I think it's good to have it projected so you kind of plan ahead. I know if I was you, that's what I'd want.
We have a motion for a second.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the equipment plan. Is there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Considerations of resolutions and ordinances to be recommended to the county board. Item 8A, resolution work zone awareness week. We do this every year, which is a good idea. Have any comments on it, Dustin?
no, I just wanted to present it though. So obviously, the week of April 17th through the 21st is Work Zone Awareness Week. That's set by the feds basically. So yeah, that's something that'll be coming to full county board for approval.
I think
I
it's a
want to
good
get it out
idea.
early.
Because I was taking a load of cattle down Tuesday. Both Dunn County and Eau Claire County were working on the medium. And almost every vehicle, when they seen the lights, they went over to the other lane to give them more room. What I didn't understand on going west on 94, there's a Dunn County truck and a trailer, probably with a Bobcat on it. But he had to somehow unload, he's off to the side, but then go across traffic, get the medium, and there's not a lot of room sometimes coming down there, but I didn't see nothing in the ditch tipped over, so it must have been. But most people are really, slowing down and going over.
Most are. And unfortunately, we are not considered emergency vehicles. So they do not have to move.
Is that right?
I don't want to tell anybody that. They,
Okay. Anytime I see the lights flashing, whether it's a survey crew or whatever, I always try to, sometimes you can't, there's somebody on the left-hand side, but.
yeah, any type of stranded motorist, anybody, they
Yeah.
can move over it. I'm in practice.
I'll make that motion that we send this on to the full county board.
Second it. Motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Next meeting date, March 8th, 2023. Is that okay with everyone? Sounds
I'll
good.
be there.
Depends
Oh,
on,
I hope so.
Time.
depends on who's gonna be laying in the sun or not.
Right. You're adjourned.